Have you ever stopped to think about why it's so hard to simply lie down, close your eyes, and sleep without your phone nearby? We always have a ready excuse. It's just to check the time. I need it for the alarm. Just one more video to relax. But deep down, it's almost never just that. There's something deeper in this need to keep the screen lit until the very last second before sleep. Maybe it's the fear of silence. Maybe it's the anxiety of being alone with your own thoughts. Maybe it's the feeling that if the phone isn't nearby, something might happen and you'll miss it. Or worse, something inside you might surface, and you won't know what to do with it. Because the phone next to the bed has become more than a device. It's a kind of emotional safety, a form of control, a quick relief at the very moment when the world slows down, and the mind doesn't. The truth is, it's not just about technology. It's about presence, about disconnecting from what weighs you down, about fear of what might show up when everything outside goes quiet. Maybe the biggest reason we can't fall asleep without our phones nearby is that it fills a space we no longer know how to occupy alone. We've started sleeping with our phones the way someone might sleep beside a partner. It's right there, within arm's reach. It's the last thing we see before closing our eyes, and often the first thing we touch when we wake up. That's become normal, a habit. But if we stop to really observe, there's something deeper going on. Bedtime should be the moment we disconnect from the world and return inward. But what we do is the opposite. We open one more tab, check one more notification, reply to one more message that didn't even need a reply right now. And we don't do it because we're truly interested. We do it because we're trying to avoid something. Nighttime is a moment of internal exposure. The silence of the house, the lack of distractions, the stillness, all of it invites a kind of deep dive we're not always ready to take. So the phone steps in as a kind of escape valve. It's not just entertainment. It's a form of anesthesia. And what's most curious is that this dependency isn't always conscious. Sometimes we just feel a strange discomfort when the phone isn't nearby, like something's off, like it's unsafe to sleep disconnected. But what really scares us isn't being offline. It's what might surface when there's nothing left occupying our minds. The phone lying there beside us creates the illusion of company, as if keeping the screen nearby somehow lessens the loneliness, as if the world were still present, available, ready to distract us from ourselves. We're not afraid of the dark anymore. We're afraid of what might appear in the darkness of the mind. It didn't happen all at once. We didn't notice the exact moment we started needing our phones nearby in order to fall asleep. At first, it was just practical, having the alarm close, checking the time in the middle of the night, seeing if any important message came in. Then came the audio in the earbuds, the short videos to unwind, the innocent scrolling through the feed. And without realizing it, sleeping with the phone beside us became part of the ritual, like brushing our teeth, like turning off the lights. But what started as a tool became attachment, and what was once a habit turned into a need. Over time, the relationship changed. The phone stopped being just a bridge to the world. It became a barrier between us and what we feel. The pillow used to be where we met ourselves. Today, it's where we quietly escape, the screen lighting up our faces in the dark. It's where we try to silence the mind with videos, memes, voices, anything but silence. And the most striking part is that even though we know it's making us more restless, more anxious, we still can't let go. Because the phone has become more than technology. It's become an emotional regulator, a psychological blanket, a companion on nights when the chest feels tight and the mind won't stop. Maybe you don't even remember the last time you went to sleep with only your own thoughts. No screen, no distraction, just you in the dark. And maybe you're afraid to do that now, because too much has piled up, because there are too many unanswered questions, because being fully present with yourself takes a strength we don't always have. But recognizing that's already the beginning. Understanding how this relationship was built and what it's trying to hide is the first step toward reclaiming silence as space, not threat. Maybe we think we're just using the phone to relax before bed, but in reality, what we're doing is avoiding contact with ourselves. Nighttime by nature asks for pause. It asks for silence. It asks for introspection. But the truth is, silence has become uncomfortable, and being alone with our own thoughts feels too risky. Because when the mind isn't occupied, it starts to speak, and we don't always like what it says. We start to notice the mess we've let pile up, the emptiness we've been pushing aside, the conversations that never happened, the promises we made just to make it through one more day. So without realizing it, we've developed a dependency, not on technology itself, but on noise, on constant movement, on just one more video so I don't have to think about this right now. And that's how the phone became more than a distraction. It became a kind of emotional anesthesia. We don't fall asleep anymore. We shut down from exhaustion. Eyes open, staring at the screen, waiting for tiredness to drown out what we're trying not to feel. But here's the problem. The body rests, and the soul doesn't. The mind keeps spinning behind the notifications, the stories, the short videos. And that's why, even after sleeping, we wake up drained. Because we're not sleeping, we're escaping. This behavior reveals something deeper. We've lost the practice of being with ourselves, of facing ourselves in the dark without trying to run, of listening without the outside noise drowning everything out. And the most ironic part? We surround ourselves with so much content, so many people, so much conversation, but we've never been more disconnected from ourselves. Maybe the phone isn't just next to the bed out of convenience. Maybe it's there because deep down we're trying to fill the space that's grown between us and our own presence. The first thing that needs to be said is, you don't need to blame yourself. This relationship with your phone didn't begin because you're weak, addicted, or careless. It began because at some point the noise out there felt easier to bear than the silence in here. And that's okay. There are days when it really is. There are nights when the screen is what holds off the breakdown. There are phases when distraction is the only way to keep going. But eventually, the body asks for more. It asks for real rest. The mind starts begging for silence. Not the kind that's uncomfortable, but the kind that heals. And the soul just wants to be heard without being drowned out by blue light. So maybe the most honest proposal is this. Slowly start to reconnect with the dark, with the idea that not every emptiness needs to be filled, with silence as a place of reconciliation, not threat. Turning off your phone 10 minutes before sleep might seem small, but in a world that constantly pulls you away from yourself, that gesture is a way back. At first, discomfort may show up, but soon after comes something rarer: presence. The pillow becomes a pillow again, not a stand for a device. Your breath finds its rhythm. Your mind slowly begins to release what it held in all day, and you realize that yes, you still know how to exist without a screen between you and your own life. This isn't about demonizing the phone. It's about remembering that real rest doesn't happen when you turn the world off. It happens when, even for a few minutes, you turn your connection back on with yourself. And maybe, one of these nights, you'll set the phone aside, breathe deeply in the dark, and think, I thought I wouldn't be able to do this, but look, I'm still enough. And that changes everything.